Hello and welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. My name is Madison Efley.
Hi, Madison. My name is Dylan Berger.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, too. Only like 6 or 7 episodes we've recorded, and we're now just finally getting around to introductions.
Exactly. That's the way that we do things here.
Yeah, I'm just very nervous. I have a nervous personality.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm just like, hi, I'm pretending like I know you, because if I admit that I don't know you, it's really awkward. It's like whenever someone's like, hey, like, how are you? And you're like,
Oh,
I'm great.
I'm like,
you?
Can we have a moment of silence forever? Yeah, that's typically how I approach things.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But we're going to have a lot of moments of silence today. Or at least one, given your story.
Yeah, it's speaking of my story, I apologize to everybody and Dylan.
Not accepted.
There were a lot of technical difficulties in 3 of the episodes that we recorded. They got lost or they didn't work. But
that's kind of fun. There's like the lost episodes.
Yeah.
And then like maybe one day they'll reappear.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's amazing. I definitely didn't cry about it at all. But yeah, so I apologize for that. Dylan, I've apologized to you so many times.
Deal. It really
feel
is
like a trash bag. But
it's an anomaly.
Now you get to hear my story again.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Absolutely.
I get to fill your ear holes with this awful thing that happened on Christmas many years ago.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is supposed to come out on Christmas, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Apologies. But so how are you? How are you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing well. I am coming out of the Christmas season, holiday season. Just, doing well, feeling good. No resolution set for myself. But with a renewed sense of determination and optimism for the world.
Okay.
And the people who live in it, my friends, my family,
okay,
my cat.
Most important.
And it's just something about, I don't know, the magic of January.
The magic of January.
It's a little quieter.
No holiday lights. You
No
just have
lights.
slush and sleet and just dreariness all around.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I'm optimistic about 2024.
Any particular reason or things that you're optimistic about?
Well, I'm optimistic because it can get worse.
That is true.
I mean, I know we've been sort of, I guess, a lot of people like to say that America has been on sort of a downward trend since like maybe the mid 2010s.
Yeah, I would say so.
And I don't know. I think this is a year we bounce back.
You think?
Yeah.
An election year?
Yeah, 2024, 2020 more. I think that we are going to become better.
I would like to say we can't get any worse. So let's go with
All
that.
right. Yeah.
I'm optimistic in that capacity.
I am optimistic too.
Yeah. Did you do anything fun for New Year's?
What did I do for New Year's? I went to see the strawberry drop outside the Hilton.
That's right. Yes, in Harrisburg they do a thing where they drop a strawberry instead of a ball.
Mm-hmm. It was very hard to see.
Oh.
Because it's just, a strawberry.
A very small strawberry that they're dropping from a flagpole.
It was very precarious as well because the mayor was there dropping it and he had to climb the building.
Oh, shit.
And I have some bad news. I don't know if you read about this.
Oh, no. You didn't make it.
He didn't make it.
Oh, no.
To 2024.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikey crikey.
It's just 10 seconds away.
Damn.
But
did they get the deputy mayor or something?
The sheriff?
Yeah, did they get the sheriff to
the Harrisburg sheriff?
Yes.
I think they did actually.
Okay.
And the story has a happy ending.
Yeah?
Because the sheriff caught the mayor in his arms and then they kissed.
Oh!
On New Year's at exactly 12.
I thought that the mayor didn't make it.
Well, yeah, but this is me doing the story a little differently.
Oh.
Because we're optimistic about 2024.
Did they kiss and then die? Like Romeo and Juliet? Star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to bring
I'm
in the
tearing up.
year. I know, right?
It was really something to see. And that was the first time I was at the Hilton for the strawberry drop since coming to Harrisburg like 5 years ago.
Wow.
And it was rainy. It was a little rainy.
Okay.
But all in all, it was a very nice time.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
What did you do for your New Year's?
I hung out with my friends and we played board games and I drank an entire bottle of wine. Like, not just like a regular bottle, but like one of those like chonky bottles
Like
of
the
wine.
Breckenridge bottles.
Yeah.
Like
I drank one of those by myself. So, okay, whenever... I do not like the whole ball dropping thing. I never got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got it was whenever I was little, like little,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was like, the ball's dropping. I thought that they meant that every year a literal ball would like drop out of the sky at midnight. I thought that is how we tracked the years.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's usually how it happens unless it's a strawberry.
Yeah.
Or a blueberry.
Yeah, but
If you're Lancaster, I
so
believe.
I was, a blueberry?
I think they drop a blueberry.
Do they?
I could be wrong.
Mechanicsburg drops a wrench.
Do they?
They do.
That's blue collar Mechanicsburg.
Yep. Love that for them.
Gotta wipe the grease off my palms after that one. So you thought a ball dropped from the sky?
Like a literal ball dropped from the sky. Like a UFO or like a comet.
Yes.
I thought we just called it like the ball dropping.
Uh-huh.
And so I remember specifically, very vividly, it was like the very first New Year's I could remember. I was at my grandparents' house and they kept like hyping us up, like, we're gonna watch the ball drop. We're gonna watch the ball drop. And I kept asking, like, what is this ball? And they're just like, it's just a ball. And I'm like, no, but like it's dropping from the sky.
Yeah.
So like, what is it? And then they showed me. I finally saw it and I was like, what the fuck is this?
This
like,
is when you were 20?
20. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Actually, 19.
Oh, okay.
Not quite 20.
Yeah. Gotta give you some leeway.
Yeah.
So you saw the ball drop and you were...
I was crushed.
Under the ball? What happened?
Well, I stood directly underneath it thinking like, what is this?
Yeah,
And
you're
then
just looking straight up.
Exactly. And then it hit me. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of protest the ball dropping or anything dropping from the sky because it's not actually dropping from the sky. And it makes me really upset.
Yeah. Well, that's a very specific reason to protest New Year's Eve. They did drop the strawberry from the sky. It was attached to a building, so it wasn't like a like air to surface missile or anything. They didn't drone strike us, but it was.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's good too.
Yeah.
I thought it was very nice and very charming. Well, I'm sorry that you had a sort of a disenchanted New Year's where you didn't get to enjoy the ball drop.
It's all right. I don't need the ball drop to enjoy friends and the company of loved ones. No balls need to be dropped.
Wow. That's a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
I think you and I are coming into the new year 2024 better people.
I agree.
More understanding people.
I agree.
The same people.
Yeah.
But different.
You know, folks, you really missed a treat. If this were to come out on Christmas, we had a whole song we were singing,
Yeah, we
a
did.
whole outro. It was lovely, and now you don't get that.
Yeah.
So sorry, I suck.
It was an issue with the audio, and if you remember from the very first episode that we shot together,
Yeah.
Recorded the small like snowball
Yes.
microphone that I put
Yes.
on the table
Yes,
between us.
I remember vividly.
And how wonderfully that audio came out.
It was a bitch to edit.
Yeah. So audio issues happen to everyone.
Yeah. One other quick thing that has been very, very important and topical in like the true crime universe right now is that on December 28th, 2023, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison.
I saw about that.
Yeah. Do you know the story of that?
Not all that much, no.
That's okay. I was going to cover it. And then I figured everyone's probably covering it. But long story short, she was a victim of child abuse in Munchausen by proxy. And her mother was killed. And she was sentenced to prison for like aiding with the murder of her mother. But she was like lenient upon because of like the relentless years of abuse she suffered. But now she is free. Finally.
Wow, how much time did you serve?
I think 12 years.
12 years.
It wasn't a ton of time, but for someone who went through everything that she has, like, I'm glad that this is the first time she's like actually living life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all. Just gotta share that little tidbit.
And she was aiding her mother, huh?
She was what, eating?
Aiding?
Aiding.
She must have been hungry, huh?
Yeah. Aiding the death of her mother.
Oh, I see.
Her mother was drugging her and like poisoning her.
How'd she kill her mom?
Her boyfriend killed her by stabbing her.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I can go into this more
gracious.
later, but that's the gist of it.
Okay.
But she's free now, and
hey.
I'm hella hype.
That
was probably the highlight of my holiday.
New Gypsy just dropped.
Yep.
So she's free.
She's free.
Wow, second chance.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, would you like to start with your story, or shall I start with mine?
What do you prefer, Dylan? Do you have a preference?
How about we start with yours?
Okay. All right, that works.
I feel it's more Christmassy than what I have to
You're
share.
right. It will end with the holidays in a really tragic way, and then we'll just like start new life with yours. How about that?
Mine's about baby Christmas or baby New Year.
Baby Christmas.
Baby Christmas?
Baby Christmas.
Is that like a tiny Santa Claus?
Yes. It's like what are those baby things? Like Muppet babies? It's like Santa.
Sorry, I just wasn't expecting to have Muppet babies enter my consciousness today.
You're welcome. Everyone, Muppet Babies was a thing, and it was the best thing ever.
And anyone who is like Gen Z has no idea what we're talking about.
I'm Gen Z.
Oh, you are?
I am.
I thought you were a millennial.
No, millennials after
1995.
Yeah.
I just made the cutoff.
It's 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm 99.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a baby.
You're Muppet Baby Christmas.
I'm a Muppet Baby Christmas.
Oh.
So yeah, let me get started with my terribly depressing story.
That's the spirit.
So, this is the very first true crime story that I ever really learned about. I remember I was like 7 or 8, probably younger, using my dad's computer to like look up music and stuff on YouTube. And like, you know how you fall down a rabbit hole on YouTube, especially in the Wild Wild West days of YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, I happened upon this video montage of like this really dramatic, like, slideshow like made by like Cutie Bear 67, like, hope you enjoy, like and subscribe, and it takes you through like this story of JonBenét Ramsey's murder with this really tragic song in the background. And yeah, I thought about it for years because how could you not? And it was then blasted all over the tabloids, and like for years to come, like I grew up with it, remembering it on the tabloids, and like, why is this such a big thing? And I just remember being confused about it. And it's still in the news to this day after all these years later. So what happened that fateful day? Maybe we're not going to find out. But we're going to learn something.
Oh, we can speculate.
We can speculate, exactly. So just for some background, JonBenét Ramsey was born in August of 1990. And she was the daughter of Patsy and John Ramsey. And she had a brother named Burke, who was 3 years older than she was. John, her father, was a very successful businessman and a divorcee with 3 children already whenever he met Patsy. Patsy was a former beauty queen, and they got married. They moved to Boulder, Colorado. They raised their children, Burke and JonBenét, and they just had like a very happy, charmed life in their mansion of sorts. Yeah. From a young age, Patsy entered JonBenét into child beauty pageants where she won titles like America's Royal Miss and Little Miss Colorado and National Tiny Miss Beauty.
National Tiny Miss Beauty. I won that actually when I was a child, yeah.
I believe it.
I saw the sash. It doesn't fit anymore.
It doesn't fit anymore, damn.
No. Doesn't mean I don't try.
Yeah, you could just squeeze it in there.
Yeah. National Tiny Miss Beauty.
Exactly.
Creepier words have never been said.
It honestly, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. It's true. And like these are probably like these headshots and these beauty shots that you see from the pageant are like what people most remember from this story, because it's like this beautiful white pageant girl who's like literally 6 years old, and she's been murdered. Tragic.
Not to spoil anything.
Not to spoil.
Unless you saw Cutie Bear 67's video.
Yeah, then you already know everything. Yeah. Shout out to Cutie Bear 67. Thank you.
Like and subscribe, hit that bell.
So Patsy's pageant mom behavior and JonBenét's success as a rising starlet were heavily reported on and manipulated by the media in the decades after her death. So what happened that night? Before we talk about that night, let's talk about the morning after, because this is kind of where everything starts to unravel and how we learn of things happening. And that's really important in the timeline of events that happens. December 26th, 1998. In the early hours of this day, Jon and Patsy Ramsey woke up early to prepare for a trip. And as they were going about their morning routine, Patsy found a 2.5-page ransom note laying on their kitchen staircase, which asked for money to ensure the safe return of their 6-year-old JonBenét. And I can read this to you. It says, "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent..."
Sorry, but starting a written note with "listen carefully" is whole other kinds of dumb.
Listen up!
Exclamation point, exclamation point.
It has an exclamation point. Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want to see her 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. That's what it says. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of typos and shit in here. Yeah. If you couldn't tell.
You're just like calculating a tip and then just like, no, write the note around it.
Yeah, exactly. You will withdraw $118,000 from your bank account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. We're not done yet. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. That was a bad, inappropriate time to laugh. I apologize.
Immediate execution of your daughter.
You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. And I keep laughing, and this is not funny.
Oh, that's funny.
It's hilarious. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you to not provoke them. Speaking to anybody about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, Jon. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, Jon. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, Jon. Victory! SBTC.
I love, don't let us catch you talking to a stray dog like it's Paw Patrol or something. What a weird note.
It's fucking bizarre, and that I had to read the whole thing because this is such a huge part of like the whole case.
Yeah, and on listening to it a second time, there are certain details that like stand out.
Yeah, right.
Like them mentioning that there are 2 other people.
Yes.
Which seems like something that you wouldn't say if you were the person who's kidnapping someone's child.
Yes.
Like, we're going to give you the exact number of people involved in this.
Yes, so
Probably
that you
not
know.
True.
Exactly. And again, rereading it, I mean, the first thing that everyone is going to talk about in like from police and whatnot in the investigation is the very specific amount of money that they ask for. Yeah. $118,000. But what really threw me was make sure you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. And then when you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
How is that going to work?
An attaché.
Well, like a bag. But then
like a fancy word for a bag.
Yes, with lots of misspelling. Like they really tried to like spruce it up. But then they want you to put the money in a brown paper bag. All of that money is not going to fit in a brown paper bag. Am I overthinking this? Because that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, with the lunches that I bring to work,
That's
maybe.
true. You do have like 5 lunches.
I do,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
They have to go somewhere.
Get a Dylan-sized lunch bag, and this could work. But yeah.
It is definitely interesting. Do you think that they added those spelling errors by accident or on purpose?
By accident.
Really?
The amount of both spelling and like grammatical errors and things that just like don't quite flow right.
Yeah.
It's for me in my big brain, my big grammar brain, it's really hard to do that on purpose. And like,
Or
you could do it on purpose, but like it's so random. Like, I don't know. It's just like it's just so like the 1997, they meant if you want to see her in 1999, I believe, because it's New Year's. And they said, if you want to see her in 1997.
They've been planning this for a few years.
Yeah, apparently. And they just like went backwards. Like, oh, how does New Year's work? Oh, we go back a year. Oh, that's right. We're actually in BCE.
I think a lot of those details kind of make it seem like they're trying to throw off who's ever reading the note.
That I do
a
believe.
little bit.
I do believe that, yes.
And certain details like the $118,000 is so specific because it is the amount of money he made as a Christmas bonus that year.
Yes. That is like the main red flag that the police came up with, which we'll go in a little bit more detail later. So we have that note, and Patsy finds us on the staircase, automatically freaks out. So the only people in the house on Christmas Day, the day before, were the immediate family: John, Patsy, Burke, and JonBenét. And despite the note urging Patsy to not involve the police, immediately she called them at 5:52 a.m., as well as friends and family to try to expedite the search for her daughter, as well as like the funds to pay this ransom.
Yeah.
Police arrived 3 minutes later at 5:55 a.m. and found no signs of forced entry. And right off the bat, investigative mistakes were made by police who entered the scene.
Of course.
And this is kind of where things just begin to completely unravel and turn to shit.
Yeah, because the house was cleaned as well. Yes. So I imagine the police were slipping around, falling down.
Oh, soap side. It's so soapy. Yeah. So the police did do a cursory search, but they failed to do it diligently, which we'll see a little bit more about how undiligent this search was. Officer Rick French went to the basement and came to a door that was secured by a wooden latch. And he paused for a moment in front of the door, but he walked away without opening it. And later he explained that he was looking for an exit route for the kidnapper, but since the closed lock was there, he was like, oh no, a kidnapper couldn't have escaped through here because the lock is closed. 8 hours later, JonBenét Ramsey's body will be found right behind that door.
Yeah, so he had a hunch, Rick French.
He had a hunch. I have a hunch. Have you seen that John Mulaney sketch?
I haven't.
I fucking love John Mulaney. He was talking about how easy it was to just commit crimes in like the olden days, and he's like, police were just like, I have a hunch, mop up that blood. That's literally what these police officers did.
Apparently, it was easy enough to get away with a crime in 1999.
Yeah, now back to my hunch. So as the police were conducting their search, John began preparing arrangements to get the ransom paid. A forensics team was dispatched and assessed that since they believed it was a kidnapping, they only needed to close off JonBenét's room. So as Dylan mentioned, friends and family came over immediately, were free to roam the rest of the house, and they also just like went about their day. They cleaned for the Ramseys because they're like, hey, like they're going through this tragic time. Like the very least we can do is clean up for them, right?
Yeah, that makes. If they knew it was a murder, they probably would have been a little bit more mindful of where they were cleaning.
But still, like police 101 is you treat every scene, every situation like a murder. Like you don't know. And it's not like DNA evidence wasn't a thing back then. Like this was the thing at the time. Like the 80s were the time where it was developed. So like everyone knows about DNA now. Everybody knows that it's this new technology.
French was really close though. So you have to give him at least half a point.
Really close.
He was so close.
Right there, if you think about it.
Yeah.
He had this in the bag.
He had it slightly outside of the bag.
Slightly outside.
And it wasn't in the bag, but it was close.
It was close. Close. Good job, French. So family are roaming around the house. Friends are roaming around the house. There's a priest in there trying to console the family. They're cleaning the house and going about their day and just like trampsing through everywhere. Then things just kept getting worse. The Boulder Police Department just also kept sharing evidence as they found it with the Ramsey family. And then they put off conducting formal interviews with them.
Hey, look at this.
Yeah, but basically, like, hey, look what we found.
What do you think?
Yeah.
No, like, what do you think? Like, we have ideas, but what do you think?
What do you think, guys? We're just trying to, like, speculate, like, play the field a little bit. Get out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Patrick, is his name Patrick? Whatever his name was. French was just like, hey, maybe you should take a stab at this. Which they actually will later on. We'll see. It doesn't get any better. It gets much worse.
Yeah, but they end up making progress, right? At least a little bit.
A little bit of progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So a detective arrived at 8 a.m. to wait further information from the kidnappers on making arrangements for the money, but no instructions ever came. Now it's 1 p.m. We're taking a big leap, a big jump. The detective instructed John and a family friend to search around the house and see if they noticed anything amiss. So basically, Officer Rick French is like, hey, I know we searched, but like, what if you guys search the house and just like, maybe we missed something? Like, you guys go.
I love that. Crowdsourcing help from the family who's being ransomed.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the right term? Ransomed?
Extorted?
Extorted.
It's probably a better word than ransomed. Yeah. Although ransomed isn't that. I just don't know if that's right.
I don't know if it's right either.
I don't know anything.
Write in. Leave a comment.
Let us know. So the very first place they looked was the basement. And immediately found JonBenét's body.
French wasn't like, no, stop. I've already looked at this door.
I already got this. You know what? On their way down, he's probably like, guys, you're wasting your time. I've already been down there, but if you want to look.
They go to the door. He's like, believe me, I looked at that door.
It's not an escape route.
Impossible.
There's a door. There's a door latch. Yes. So JonBenét's mouth was covered in duct tape. A nylon cord was found around her wrists and neck, and her torso was covered by a white blanket. And immediately, John picked up his daughter's body and brought her upstairs, again, destroying more critical evidence in the process. And, like, I know we talked about this before, but, like, part of me can't fault him for that, because that would also be what I can imagine is, like, my first instinct as a parent or, like, a protector of a child is, like, if they look like they're not okay, like, I want to help them and I want to get them help. So, like, he probably didn't register that she was dead and registered, like, she needs help.
Yeah.
Right? And so I understand that protector part comes in first, which is also why they shouldn't have sent the father of the daughter to go search. It's just a whole.
Well, he's part of the team now. He
is. Officer Rick, like,
he has a novelty badge.
You're a sergeant. Yeah. Just promoting you. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about that?
I imagine French must have been pretty embarrassed. Number one.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah. He's like, oh, where did you find her? In the basement. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, where in the basement?
Behind door number 1.
Oh, God. I think naturally the protective instinct is to care for your child.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to remove them from that situation, which is a very ugly thing, and bring them upstairs.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I imagine he wasn't alone when he opened that door.
No.
He
wasn't. He had his friend with him.
Yeah, that a police officer or a detective or his friend would have been like, all right, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. A police officer wasn't with him. It was just him and his friend. Okay. And, I mean, like, if you're his friend, I can imagine, like, you've never been in that situation before. Like, maybe I shouldn't be telling my buddy to not pick up his daughter and this, like, maybe that's not, I don't know. Like, I imagine feeling reserved about that as well. Like, maybe that's not my place to... And obviously, it's also probably happening so fast. Like,
yeah. What I'm kind of confused about as well is if the father was under the impression that his daughter has been kidnapped and he's already getting money out of the bank, why would he go into the basement and open that door?
He was told to.
He was told.
He was told to, like, inspect the house. He was told to search around the house to see if anything was amiss. So basically, the policemen were like, "Hey, what I'm assuming that they meant was, hey, you know your house better than we would, obviously. Can you look around and let us know if you see anything that's not quite right that we wouldn't notice ourselves?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened there.
Okay. So he decided to go downstairs to the basement and open that specific door.
I think he's starting from the bottom to the top, I would imagine.
Oh, he got out of the way early.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yikes. So, yeah. There was a boot print found next to JonBenét's body, which did not belong to anyone in the family. There was also a broken window in the basement, which was believed to be the most likely point of entry for an intruder. And after the discovery of her body, each of the Ramseys produced handwriting, blood, and hair samples to the police, and they were interviewed for a few hours, and Burke was interviewed for the first couple of weeks after his sister's death. So, like, the parents were like, oh, I'll just, like, give you a quick cursory. Burke was, like, hounded, this poor kid. He's also only he's 9 at this point.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucked.
I thought you were going to say 3 for a second.
No,
That'd be kind of funny.
I almost did.
It's like really tiny handcuffs.
Yeah. Oh. So the autopsy.
Yes.
The autopsy revealed that JonBenét had died from asphyxiation due to strangulation in addition to a skull fracture. And there was no semen found, but sexual assault could not be ruled out because she did have injuries. And it had also been determined that her vaginal area was wiped with a cloth as to remove evidence. Again, we know DNA is a thing now.
Yeah. They
were probably trying to cover things up. Obviously, it was ruled a homicide. And a garrote, which you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, people who might not, it's like imagine like, do you know that thing used to like cut clay in like a pottery class? It has like 2 wooden handles, and like a long like wire. That could be considered a garrote. It's basically something that does that have a definition here that I'm just not?
No, it's like in Godfather, like mafia movies, where
it's
there's a guy in the back
something that you
seat.
use to strangle somebody, but you have something on there to help you tighten it, which is really fucked. So the garrote was made from a nylon cord and a broken paintbrush handle, which was tied around her neck, and part of the bristle end of the paintbrush was later found in a tub of Patsy's art supplies, but the remaining third of it was never found despite extensive searching around the house. So that's not good. And the autopsy revealed that JonBenét had eaten pineapple a few hours before her death. Photographs of the home taken on the day when JonBenét's body was found show show a bowl of pineapple on the kitchen table with a spoon in it. However, John nor Patsy said they remembered putting the bowl on the table or feeding pineapple to either of their kids. Police reported that they found JonBenét's 9-year-old brother Burke's fingerprints on the bowl. And the Ramseys have always said that Burke slept through the entire night until he was awoken several hours after the police arrived. That's a lot of information I just threw at you, but that is all the information that gets so hotly debated in this case.
Right. It makes sense. It all comes back to the pineapple.
Everything comes back to the pineapple. Mm-hmm. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
I'm just waiting.
JonBenét Ramsey. That's not, I don't know. No. So before we dig into theories, I just want to go a little bit more into the specifics of the case and the investigation more, because that was bungled to hell. Huh? So like Dylan mentioned before, the ransom note demanded $118,000, which is very oddly specific. It's ridiculously specific.
It is specific.
Specific. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that was nearly identical to John Ramsey's Christmas bonus the year before, which immediately made police suspicious of the Ramseys. Suspicious. Did I say that again?
No,
okay.
You did.
Suspicious of Ramseys and everyone who was close to them, because like somebody who had to have known this is so odd and randomly specific. Like why $118,000? Why? I don't know. So they looked into people who John currently and previously worked with, and they also considered the possibility that the demand was a reference to Psalm 118. They literally were just like digging wherever they could, making no sense. They were doing everything except for their jobs.
Yeah, I feel like French probably felt like he needed to really step up.
He said, "Let's go to the Bible."
He was just pulling shit out of his asshole.
He did something.
Yeah, he did. Not successfully, unfortunately.
No, not at all. Also, the ransom note appears to echo film dialogue. The films Ruthless People, Ransom, Escape from New York, Speed, and Dirty Harry have been our sources from this ransom note. Like it took things, you know what I'm saying?
Did they, by any chance, check the Ramsey's like video collection?
You know what? That's a great point. I don't think that they did.
Huh. I would be interested.
I have never heard of that. That is a fantastic point, actually.
I'd be curious.
For sure.
I mean, Blockbuster was a thing.
It was.
But at the same time, they're rich.
If you're quoting movies like that, you probably have them on VCR.
Yeah.
Like you're watching them over and over again.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Dylan. I don't know. I might have to look that up later because that's going to bother me. But to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
Also, it was the length of the note was unusually long. It was 2.5 pages. And the FBI explained that this was very unusual to be written at the crime scene. And we know that it was written at the crime scene. Retired detective Fred Patterson said, I've seen and worked on a number of kidnappings for the FBI, and most of the notes are very short. They're very terse, very succinct, and give very specific instructions, almost like bullet points. I've never seen a ransom kidnapping that asks for such a specific amount of money, especially. Police first suspected that this note was staged because the only fingerprints on it were Patsy's. And the authorities who handled it. Which also, I'm realizing, pisses me off. Because the person who wrote the note could have had gloves on.
Right.
And why did the authorities not wear gloves when handling it? Why are there fingerprints on it? I just thought of that now. Why do they have their Patsy, I get it. Why did the authorities have their fingerprints on it?
Maybe it was all they were all on their first day on the job.
Apparently
they were all rookies, and this is our big first case. We're gonna solve this.
Everyone wants their hands on it, like, oh, let me say. I think I crack at it. What?
And Patsy's fingerprints were on it as well.
Yes, they were. And the reason that we know for a fact that this note was written in the home is because it was written with a pen and notepad from their home, both the note and the practice draft. So this wasn't even the final. This is the first thing. Like, they practiced this. And a report from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation wrote in a report that there are indications that the author of the ransom note is Patricia Ramsey. However, there wasn't enough evidence for a definitive conclusion.
How much? What is the percentage as opposed to like the percentage of somebody who isn't Patricia Ramsey?
They didn't say that, but I think, again, these genius police officers, I think that they literally said it was her stationery and her pen. She must have written it.
That is wild.
I think that's what they thought in their brain. Yeah. And a board-certified forensic pathologist who had consulted with both sides of the case said that he had never seen a note like this in his 60 years of experience. And in his expert opinion, it was not written by an outside stranger. So I guess there was that as well. But that also doesn't point to Patsy. No.
No, probably not.
No, I don't.
It points to Burke.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to. Oh, sorry. One last thing. A federal court also ruled that it was unlikely that Patsy wrote the note, citing 6 certified handwriting experts. But because of the high-profile nature of the case, self-proclaimed experts without credentials kept trying to enter the case and accuse Patsy.
Yeah.
Just because of the whole media circus. So we're spending all this time blaming Patsy and all these resources trying to prove her wrong and not actually trying to solve.
I hope they brought a psychic in, too.
Honestly,
That'd be
you
fun.
know what? A pet psychic would have been even better. That's what they should have done.
Did they not have a pet?
I haven't heard anything about a pet, but like,
it's strange.
I imagine if a pet psychic can speak about your pets, it can speak about like the birds who might have watched from outside.
Right. And also plants, when you put electrodes on them, they can actually serve as a character testimony in court.
Exactly.
But that was on an episode of Fact or Fiction.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was fact.
Don't think it was fact, guys.
No.
You heard it here first.
Strange that they don't have a dog at least. Usually rich people have like...
Maybe they like to...
like a mastiff or something. Or like a Great Dane.
Speaking of rich people who have pets.
Yes.
I knew this very wealthy family. Their house reminded me of what Ramsey's house was described as.
Uh-huh.
Like the girl that I was friends with had an entire wing of the house to herself.
Wow.
She had a full-sized room just as her closet.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was... I also paid for her and her mom's Dairy Queen because her mom forgot her wallet at home. Meanwhile, I'm poor and it's fine.
And they had a dog or a cat?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, they had a dog. But the dog was very spoiled, and it would only eat like the nicest of steaks, the nicest of meats. Like a full meal. Like if they ordered out, they would order a meal for their dog.
That's really funny. I mean, if I were a dog and I knew that I could get full steaks every night.
Full snakes?
Yeah, full snakes.
Full snakes.
A full steak and snake.
Full steak.
I would absolutely hold out for a steak.
Yeah. Yeah. That dog ate better than I did most nights of my life.
All you got was Dairy Queen.
Yeah, Dairy Queen that I paid for it. And their rich home. I didn't get paid back. It's fine. It's freaking fine.
Sort of think that you killed JonBenét Ramsey. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Interesting enough.
Uh-huh.
Her brother's name was Burke. My friend who had this dog in this house, her brother's name was Burke.
What?
Oh my gosh. Did I kill JonBenét?
This is all coming together.
It was me. Yeah, his name was Burke.
Wild.
I promise you. That's the only other time I've ever heard that name.
What was his last name? Burke is just a rich person name.
I was going to say, it's a very rich person name. A very hoity-toity name.
What's it short for? Burkle?
Burkeford.
Burkford?
I don't know. No idea. Just Burke. Yeah, imagine like Burke like on a yacht, like smoking a cigar.
Probably is right now.
Honestly, probably. Yeah.
In the Maldives.
Yeah.
Maldives?
Maldives.
Maldives? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, about now we're going on to the investigation part of things. So from the start, experts, media commentators, and the Ramseys have identified potential suspects in the case. The Boulder police almost exclusively focused on John and Patsy at the start of the investigation, but by October of 1997, they had over 1,600 people in their persons of interest case. So not even a whole year later, they had that many people on their persons of interest list, which is bananas. Like, I think I read that, like, 8 is typically a lot. Usually they have, like, 3 to 5. 1,600, which is bananas. And all of the aforementioned errors further complicating the investigation, along with a lack of experienced staff, clearly. It's just a fucking mess. So the media had already pointed the Ramseys as the murderers already. At the time, Boulder police were ensuring that there was no killer on the loose, but Patsy actually disagreed with this and wanted the people of Boulder to keep their babies close, is what she said. And
or I'll get them.
Yeah, or I'll get them. I'll get them. Obviously, this pissed the Boulder police officers off, and they sent 5 detectives to speak with the Ramseys because of this comment.
That is not even like...
No.
It's kind of a muscle squad.
Yeah.
What's the term?
Muscle.
It's just
the heavies.
To extort them again.
Yeah. Holy shit. So the Ramseys insisted that they were too emotional to sit down with the investigators to speak, but they were able to do the CNN interview on TV.
Well, yeah.
So that drew a lot of scrutiny. And also, like, they're sending 5 officers down because you said that there was a stranger on. Like, that's I wouldn't want to talk. And they bungled the case so bad. Fuck that. Well, I'm just thinking of this. I wouldn't want to talk to them either.
Well, they sent 5 police officers because they needed 1 to drive the car and 4 to give directions.
It's true. 4 to give directions and 1 for snacks.
And 1 for snacks,
For snacks. Yeah.
That was French's job.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He brought the fries. I feel so bad. I'm sure he really tried. I'm sure he did.
You think? I don't think.
I'm sure that in later cases he really...
I hope he never touched another case again. The way he bungled this one. Bungled. It was bungled.
Truly
bungled. Oh, okay. So things just keep getting worse for the Ramseys. In 1999, a Colorado grand jury voted to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment and obstruction of a murder investigation, but the prosecutor declined to prosecute, stating a lack of evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. And despite never officially being named suspects by police, the Ramseys have certainly been on trial by their peers for their entire lives. And a retired detective came back to the force to present his findings just to show and be on the Ramsey side, be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I'm coming back from retirement to show you guys how to do your fucking jobs.
Damn, that's badass.
Yeah. And on top of all of this mess, there was power and politics involved because, of course. So The police and the DA had a very strenuous relationship to the point that the Colorado governor named a special prosecutor to be on the case, which does not happen normally. And even the people within the same department who were supposed to be on the same team had differing views, and both lead investigators ended up resigning because they're like, we can't work together. This is a mess.
Yeah.
So just everything's falling apart. Fast forward to December 2003, forensic investigators were able to extract enough material from a mixed blood sample found on JonBenét's underwear to establish a DNA profile. It belonged to an unknown male and excluded the Ramseys as possible matches. The DNA was submitted to CODIS, which do you know what CODIS is?
I believe so.
It's basically just the place where you submit DNA once it's collected, and if it has a match, you can find people. But it didn't match anybody, so the person hasn't been arrested for any other crime. So a lead investigator on the DA's office revealed that there were additional traces of male DNA found on the paintbrush and the cord that were just not mentioned by the DA at the time. They were just like, hey, you don't need to know this.
What happened on a weekend, right?
What?
The murder?
It happened on the day after a holiday.
Yeah, so...
I don't know if it was... It's, give them a break. They're spending Christmas with their families.
No, yeah, they deserve a little bit of leeway.
Exactly.
I mean, so much leeway that the case is unsolved to this day.
Exactly. There were also 6 separate DNA samples found by the test belonging to unknown individuals. And in this point, now the Ramseys are in a libel case for dragging their name in the mud for all of these years. And this is especially, upsetting to me because I remember this, I made a very weird comment that your skin cells are everywhere. We shed skin cells all the time, constantly. It's possible. I don't. You do not. It's possible that they can be deposited anywhere at any time for various reasons that are just benign. So to clear somebody just on the premise of touch DNA, especially when you have a situation where the crime scene wasn't secure at the beginning, is really a stretch. So when the Ramseys were absolved, this was a huge source of contention for people. Now we will get into the theories.
It all comes back to the pineapple.
It does. Dylan, what are you thinking right now?
I am thinking that something happened earlier that morning, which involved a bowl and pineapple that both Burke and JonBenét Ramsey were participating in.
Yes.
They were probably eating pineapple out of the same bowl. And there was a fingerprint on the bowl.
Yes.
That belonged to Burke.
Just Burke's.
However, they found pineapple in JonBenét Ramsey's stomach. So she was awake. However, his testimony claimed that he was asleep during the time that this happened.
Yes.
So he's lying for some reason.
Maybe.
Potentially. That's what it seems like.
And that is what everybody kind of thinks.
Yeah.
So the first one is the family theory. According to a retired profiler with the FBI, statistically it is a 12-to-1 probability that it's a family member or a caregiver who was involved in the homicide of a child. And the police saw no evidence of forced entry, but they did see evidence of staging of the scene, such as the ransom note, which was ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
They said that they didn't find the Ramseys cooperative in helping them solve the death of their daughter. And the Ramseys said that this was just because they were afraid that they would be targeted, which is exactly what happened. So one theory is that Patsy struck JonBenét in a fit of rage after a bedwetting episode and strangled her to cover up what had happened after mistakenly thinking she was already dead. I don't know where this one came from. I don't know if there was a history of bedwetting. From everyone's accounts, there has been no history of violence or anything of the sort from Patsy, so this is just total media circus speculation, in my opinion. JonBenét's brother Burke even said that we didn't get spanked, nothing of the sort, nothing close, nothing near laying a finger on us, let alone killing your own child. And so theoretically, the strangulation could have been a red herring. Burke, Juicy Burke, was 9 years old at the time of JonBenét's death, was interviewed by investigators at least 3 times, and like I said, for weeks after his sister's death.
Yeah.
The first 2 interviews did not raise any concerns about him. And a review by a child psychologist stated that it appeared that the Ramseys had a healthy, caring family relationship.
Yeah, I imagine if you're 9 years old and you're being interrogated by police twice, you're probably not going to hold up under a lot of scrutiny.
Probably not. No. Yeah.
The pineapple, not sure what happened there.
No.
Maybe it was from the previous night.
So here's my theory with the pineapple.
Yeah.
Either maybe fingers. Kids are germy. I would imagine that if you were like a kid's just like pawing around and I can imagine a kid having their fingerprints on a bowl just because it was just there. Like maybe he grabbed it and then put it back. Like that's not weird to me. If he lives in that house, it was within his reach. That would make sense that he would have his fingerprints on it. Maybe he wanted a late night snack. Maybe he went downstairs to get a late night snack, which is one of the theories that he was getting a late night snack, and then JonBenét had wanted to steal some of his pineapple, and that
he just saw red.
Yeah, basically, and then just killed her, and then Patsy covered it up. That is one of the theories.
There may be steaks for the dogs, but there's not enough pineapple in this house to go around.
No, there's
sister.
Enough pineapple for the two of us.
Yeah, pineapple is such a rich person snack to have in the middle of the night.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. So okay. So along with that thought, I would think that maybe Burke just had his fingers all over things, and because he's a germy kid.
Yeah.
As most are, and then the perpetrators grabbed that bowl, and they had gloves on because their fingerprints were not on the ransom note, and maybe they got JonBenét some pineapple to like calm her down or like make her chill and like be like, hey, like we're friends, like we're cool. Here's some pineapple.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so next is the intruder theory.
Mm-hmm.
Police and the prosecutors followed leads for intruders partly due to the unidentified boot mark left in the basement where JonBenét's body was found. And there were a variety of persons of interest, including the man who played Santa Claus the night before, and the housekeeper, a man who died in apparent suicide shortly after JonBenét's death, and hundreds of DNA tests were performed to find a match, and none were found. So on the night that JonBenét was killed, there had been 2 windows that were left slightly open to allow for electrical cords for the outside Christmas lights to pass through. A broken basement window and 1 unlocked door. Mm-hmm. So this is also what makes me really angry, is that the police say there's no signs of forced entry, but there is just 3 open points of entry that would not have to be forced.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make much sense to me. Also, the steel grate that covered the window also had undisturbed cobwebs. That part gets me. I don't know how to explain that. And the foliage around the grate was undisturbed. There were also cobwebs in the tracks of various windows, and dust and debris were on some of the sills. So, like, where the window was broken in the basement, the cobwebs and the dust were still undisturbed.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It makes it seem like somebody was setting it up to look that way.
Right. And that's kind of what the investigators thought, that it was them trying to set it up and make it look like something that it wasn't.
Right.
So there was an author who wrote a book called Presumed Guilty, and he talks about how JonBenét's parents, particularly the mother, because she was in pageants, JonBenét was attracting like child molesters and like pedophiles and like really awful people who were affiliated with the child pageant scene. So people thought maybe it could have been like one of those people who were just obsessed with JonBenét.
Pretty believable, yeah.
She did get love letters from grown men at the age of 6. Icky.
Jesus.
Right. Yeah. So like that was one. And then obviously they were blaming the parents for exposing her to sexual predators, et cetera, et cetera. Also, what does not get mentioned, it was determined that there had been more than 100 burglaries in the Ramsey's neighborhood in the months before JonBenét's murder.
Yeah.
Right.
That's an interesting detail.
Right. That just doesn't get talked about at all. Like there.
So this was like a highly targeted area.
Yes, and there were 38 registered sex offenders living within a 2-mile radius.
Oh my God, why do they live there?
I know. So, like, to me, that makes so much more sense than, like, I don't know.
They could live anywhere.
I know. They have literally all the money that they would need.
They could live in the Maldives, even.
They could live in the Maldives.
Ugh,
they could probably own an island in the Maldives.
Probably.
One of their favorite islands. They could just own it. So unfortunately, in 2006, Patsy passed away from ovarian cancer, and just a few months later, a man actually confessed to her daughter's murder. I forgot about this. Dylan, do you remember this part?
I do.
I just remembered it now. I haven't read these notes in over a month, and holy fuck. So I'm so sorry this is so long, but this is batshit crazy. Okay, so a 21-year-old teacher named John Mark Carr was arrested in Thailand after the confession. He claimed to drug, sexually assault, and accidentally kill JonBenét. There is absolutely zero evidence of Carr at the crime scene. His DNA did not match, and the drugging aspect was just not true. And he only provided the basic facts that were publicly known in his confession. And later he suggested that he had lied about his confession to cover for someone else. He said, quote, "Everyone was so quick to say that I was a liar or delusional. Did it ever occur to someone that I might have just been trying to protect somebody else?"
Oh, they didn't have anyone else.
No.
Who was he protecting?
These fucking Looney Tunes. This theory actually hasn't been rolled out because they're not convinced that the killer didn't act alone. However, they don't believe in the slightest of anything that this guy is saying. As a random side note, he has a really, really gross website where he's thanking people for setting him free and like quoting a Confederate soldier. You can look him up on johnmarkcarr.com, get him those page views if you want to. It's really hard to follow.
Yeah, it's what, johnwilkesbooth.com?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
It's like it's just like the homepage, but like 20 plus pages if you just keep scrolling.
Oh, God.
It's just like a rambling mess. It's awful.
The user interface is so fucked.
It is fucked. He writes about he claims that he both didn't say the things that he said, but that he did say them and then he didn't do them, and then he said them and like maybe he did do them.
Just being so coy.
Really, he is. He rants about like Princess Diana and Madeleine McCann and Kamala Harris and just like it's fucking wild. It's like Creed thoughts from The Office, but like if it were actually a website. Like it's just bananas, Looney Tunes. I'm embarrassed that I spent a lot of time on there, but like I wanted to try to make sense of it, and then I gave up quickly when I realized there was no sense to be made.
Find yourself starting to relate a little bit.
Yeah.
Starting to like some of the things that he's saying.
Yeah.
About the South.
Yeah. The specific Confederate soldiers.
Yeah, what was that quote exactly? I'm curious.
You know what? I don't know. I think I just saw it was quoting a Confederate. I'm like, you know what? I just don't have time for this in my brain right now. There's so much going on, and like I don't want to think about this gross man any longer. I also wanted to mention that there has been reports that he's come out as transgender. I'm not dead naming him or like using the wrong pronouns because he's a terrible person, but there was an article that I read where he again claimed the media was trying to embarrass him by saying that he was a woman, but he was insisting that he's a man. I don't know. I don't know his story. I don't care. I don't want to give him the time of day, but I'm not just being a dick. So one of the other individuals who was identified as a suspect was Gary Howard Olivia.
3 names. These people have 3 names, all right.
This is the guy that makes the most sense in my brain.
Okay.
He was a registered sex offender. He was publicly identified as a suspect in 2002. And he has claimed to be the killer numerous times since his 2016 arrest. And in a series of jailhouse letters, he claims that he did kill JonBenét accidentally on the morning of December 26, 1996.
And his DNA.
I know. Everything else lines up so perfectly, though. Like, he called this friend. They were friends from high school, and the guy just like picks up the phone and he recognizes the voice, and Olivia's crying and saying that he had hurt a little girl. So they hadn't spoken for years again at this point, but Michael, the man who picked up the phone call, was trying to get information out of him. So Olivia told him that he was calling from a payphone in Boulder, Colorado, where he'd been living on a ranch. Michael tried to like push him for more information, asking for his phone number or like where the ranch was, but he hung up the phone. And the next morning, Michael said he got up and stepped on his front porch and saw the LA Times, and on that page it was girl 6 found slain in Boulder, Colorado. And so he called the police, and the police brushed him off. And so it wasn't until months later that he was like, "Hey, did you guys ever like follow up on that lead?" And they're like, "Oh no, we didn't. Call this number and leave a message." So yeah, police are really doing bad things. Just fucking, it's a mess. Yeah, he was really obsessed with her. He said that he never loved anyone like he did JonBenét, and yet he let her slip and her head bashed in half, and I watched her die. It was an accident. Please believe me, she was not like the other kids, which is...
Wait, what? She didn't have head trauma?
Really, she did.
She did?
She did.
And that was public? That was made public?
Yes, it was. Okay. It was in the coroner report. Yeah, so the cause of death was strangulation, but she did have an additional head trauma. Yeah. It's like everything he's saying makes a lot of sense.
Well, he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life anyway. So
I hope so, because he's also not a really good person. But yeah, The case is still open. They're doing more DNA testing. His did not match. Burke says that there's things that are developing, and he's feeling really good about it this year. But who knows?
I don't think it was a family.
I don't think it was either. I have a friend who thinks very much that it was a family, but I just don't. I don't see that.
I think there would have been more evidence that was the family if it was the family.
I would agree.
Definitely not Burke, because he was 9.
He was 9.
And kids are capable of doing terrible shit.
They are. They
are capable of murder in some cases.
They are.
But I don't think this is one of those cases.
I also don't think so. I don't think that if Burke would have done something, that his parents would have just been like, oh, well, she's fucked. Let's go cover it up.
Yeah.
I don't think that... I understand that the idea of, like, not wanting to lose both of your children, but...
Yeah, you would be so distraught as a parent to know that, and then you would have to pretend to not
the next day. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. The cobwebs and the dust still being there really bother me. I don't know how to explain that.
Do they still live in that house? Probably not.
No, they sold it. And
who bought it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
If you know what, if it were discounted at a good rate, I might smash it.
Yeah, just do some investigating of your own.
I might. Yeah, maybe I will understand. Maybe that'll answer me the question of why the cobwebs and the dust were undisturbed. Maybe if I can go through the motions enough time, maybe one of the outcomes will be different.
You're going to solve this case.
I might solve this case if I move to Boulder, Colorado and buy their house.
Ooh, Boulder is actually really nice.
I know. I've heard lovely things.
Colorado in general is beautiful.
My friend lives
this time of year.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He has friends out there. He goes there a lot. Anyway.
What a great... Well, it's not a great story, but what a great telling of that story.
Yeah. I apologize that was so long.
No.
There's just so much to go into with this case. It's fucking Looney Tunes. Well, Dylan.
Yes.
We're closing out the holiday season.
Yes.
Would you like to bring us into the new year with your tale today?
Certainly. I would be happy to.
Awesome.
So we all have our own things we like and dislike, hobbies and interests, but most of us can agree on one thing, that music transcends interest.
It does.
Regardless of who we are, most of us can agree that we love music. If someone tells you they hate music, it's probably Christmas time. That aside, you have a long history with music, am I right?
Yes, I do. I love music very much.
So you would say that you do love music?
I do.
Very much.
I do.
I think most people would, and how could you not? Whether it's Barry Manilow's Copacabana or Claude Debussy's Prélude à l'après-midi audiophone.
Debussy.
Yes, we as a species collectively appreciate a real barn buster.
A barn buster? What the fuck are you saying?
After saying so much French in a row, my mouth forgot how to speak.
Debussy barn buster.
We literally have grooves in our DNA. So... Just to set things off on a positive note, who's your favorite musician?
You asked me this last time, and I still don't have an answer for you, Dylan. I don't know. It depends on the mood. It depends. I like a lot of different people. I love Barbra Streisand. I love Judy Garland. I love Ariana Grande, who released just a banger of a single recently. It's the gay anthem of the century.
Yeah?
And yeah.
Huh?
David Bowie, who I named my cat after, and whose poster I have on my wall. So many people.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people to like.
Yeah.
I myself like Billy Joel.
Barry Manilow.
Yeah, Billy Manilow.
Billy Manilow.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Damn.
Today I was planning to talk about the dark underbelly of the music industry.
Bum, bum, bum.
And something that most of us turn a third eye blind to, so we can enjoy a good tune.
Funny the first time.
I promise I won't make any more music puns. Holy shit. Oh, God, it's weird going through this a second time. Now I think that it goes without saying that any industry of a certain size is going to have some amount of corruption. Mm-hmm. There's really no avoiding it, for the most part. But the level of corruption, death, and misdeeds in the music industry is massive as the industry is massive. And we have a glimmer of an idea, even without any research. There are well-shared stories of labels that take advantage of their artists.
Yes.
We can probably, off the top of our heads, count at least 5 musicians with tragic deaths.
Yes.
Who are a few musicians that died tragically off the top of your head?
27 Club. There's Janis Joplin,
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain. There's Amy Winehouse. There's Mac Miller. There is Jimi Hendrix. That's 5.
Elliott Smith, who allegedly stabbed himself to death in the weirdest suicide like pretty much ever recorded.
What the fuck?
He was found stabbed to death in his own apartment, and the police said, I guess French was on the case.
He did, yeah, French.
Because the police said, yeah, he stabbed himself in the chest to death.
I've got a hunch. He did it to himself. The fuck?
The French is, for the rest of his life, suspicious of every closed door.
That's just one stab?
I think he stabbed himself twice. I would have to look into it a little bit more.
That's crazy.
It's honestly worthy of its own episode. Because it is a really weird case.
Your self-preservation, like,
right?
Wouldn't that kick in and stop you from?
Well, he's a really sad guy, which only goes as far as to explain very little. But it is definitely one of the weirder suicides. Yeah. There's been speculation around a lot of these deaths, and speculation is all we have a lot of the time. We'll be doing some speculation here, but there's a good deal of evidence as well. Yeah. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
We'll start with the rap genre. Now, I love rap music. It's a platform for poets and empowers a lot of people who would otherwise feel disenfranchised.
Absolutely.
Of course, the genre has its share of controversy well beyond the deaths of Tupac and Biggie Smalls. And of course, when sharks smell blood, they're going to feed. In a 2022 Complex article about French Montana, the rising number of deaths of young rappers in recent years has resulted in a quote-unquote new phenomenon.
Okay.
Labels are beginning to take out life insurance policies on their signees. So, if a young rapper dies before their time, their label gets a nice windfall.
That is so fucked. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it is pretty fucked. Quoting French Montana here, you're supposed to have life insurance anyway, but when the label does it, if you don't have one, that's crazy. And I agree, that's pretty crazy. But there was a reason I said quote-unquote new phenomenon instead of just new phenomenon. Back in 1998, a year before JonBenét Ramsey's death. It was a different world.
Different world.
MTV released an article about Bushwick Bill. You remember Bushwick Bill,
my favorite.
right? Yeah.
Bushwick Bill.
You're always blasting Bushwick Bill.
Nothing but him.
Yeah. Well, the headline of this article is Bushwick Bill blasts label over life insurance policy, followed by says company made itself his beneficiary. Industry sources say practice is rare but not unusual. Now, let's get into that.
Jeez.
In the article, Bushwick Bill alleged that his former label demanded that all artists under the label allow them to take out life insurance policies on the artists with the label as the sole beneficiary.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Gregory Viktoroff, a music industry attorney, stated that the clause is often inserted in contracts, and I quote, where the artist may live the lifestyle or participate in recreational practices that are dangerous.
Wow. So they're encouraging them to practice in these reckless lifestyle behaviors in the hopes of them getting this life insurance.
It's not discouraged.
Not discouraged.
Yeah. But it is a little bit worrying. Although there's something even worse than that.
Okay.
It's just scraping the surface. There's another very specific kind of insurance called key man insurance.
Okay.
Also known as key person insurance. It's a policy that's taken out by a music label to compensate said label for any losses that might come about from the extended incapacity or death of the artist. This has led some people to speculate that music labels take out this kind of insurance, then murder the artist to cash in on the quote-unquote losses that might come about from the death of the artist, which can be a pretty high figure considering some of the artists that are under these kinds of policies.
Yeah.
This has also led some people to speculate that the reason why artists like Bob Dylan continue to tour is so they aren't murdered by their label.
Wow.
It's just speculation.
Just speculation. That's fucking bananas. Is that what we think happened with Billy Talent or whatever his name was?
Billy Talent?
I don't know. Who was the first guy that you said?
It's a good name for an artist. Billy Talent.
The guy who stabbed himself twice?
Oh, Elliott Smith.
Elliott Smith.
It's not very likely, just because he was a smaller artist.
Okay.
I mean, he was like pretty up and coming in the angsty music scene, which I'm a part of.
Very angsty.
And he was very sad and depressed and often talked about, ending his life. But the way in which it happened seems very suspicious.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of with that is like maybe he had a psychotic break, because it's not like when you think about like that's not the mode of how people usually do that.
Right, typically not.
No.
But the police ruled out any kind of foul play.
Yeah.
Now we're going to veer into another genre. And I use that word loosely because it's such a large parent genre that many genres fall underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about K-pop, or Korean popular music.
Yes.
Now, many people in the States are familiar with K-pop through bands such as BTS, Blackpink, Twice, and more. I'm not saying more as in like another band. That's just more bands. Yeah.
More.
K-pop is known for its synthy music, bright fashion, and rigorously choreographed dance routines.
Yes.
Just like me.
Yes. Every damn day.
I walk into the office like I'm the only one there.
Throw some glitter and sparkles in the air.
Hey, Dylan's arrived. You're welcome. But beneath that flashy surface, there's a dark, seedy underbelly. And I know that's the second time that I said underbelly.
That's okay. We love it.
I like the word because bellies are typically under.
An overbelly.
An overbelly, a side belly, if you will. That's beside the point, though. Getting back to K-pop, the financial and physical abuse of K-pop stars isn't uncommon.
Yeah.
Here are a few examples, and I might have trouble with the pronunciation here. But according to The Diplomat, the artist Lee Seung-gi discovered his agency withheld all profits for digital streams and downloads of his songs over a 20-year period.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the boy band Omega X was forced to perform while testing positive for COVID. And those are just two instances. It gets worse.
They have like a whole school for K-pop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Were you going to get to that?
Yeah, I was about to actually.
So
that's
sorry.
the next bullet point.
So sorry.
No, you're ahead of the curve here. Many trainees in the K-pop system are forced to pay back years of, quote, development fees, and one agency even attempted to sue a former contestant of a reality show for, quote, production fees after they were eliminated from the show.
Oh, jeez.
And now getting into the training. I mentioned development fees and production fees, and when you understand the process that a lot of these stars undergo, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
According to CBS, many stars will spend up to 10 years in training centers operated by entertainment companies. These include dancing, singing, and acting classes, as well as appearance management, which includes hair, makeup, and compatibility with different camera angles.
Wow.
So it gets really... It takes it one step...
Damn.
forward and a few more steps forward.
I just got new headshots taken yesterday.
Yeah.
So like I should have taken that class because I was real awkward.
Do you have anything on the horizon in terms of shows or?
No, I mean I auditioned for a couple things, but I'm also like I'm cool to just take like a little break.
Yeah.
Sit back. I want to work on like more music stuff.
That'd be nice. Yeah. I am. Whenever I try to take a good picture of myself, I'll take a video.
Yeah.
And I'll move my head around in
and
a circle.
You'll find where it's good.
And then I'll go frame by frame and just fucking get the perfect shot.
Smart thinking.
Yeah, it's always a little blurry.
Because
it's taken from a video.
Yeah, but sometimes that can be artsy.
Yeah.
Artsy feel.
Yeah. Okay. Becoming a K-pop star is often a grueling endeavor, and the industry is full of controversy. Fortunately, South Korean lawmakers have introduced legislation in hopes of preventing further abuse and mistreatment of performers.
Yeah.
So let's take a step away from K-pop and look at something a little weirder.
Okay.
The use of artificial intelligence in the music industry.
Yes.
Now, AI has a lot of advantages in the music industry.
Yes.
It's able to sort through an enormous amount of data to identify trends, helping artists with promotion and improve visibility.
For sure.
It can predict how audiences are likely to feel and project a song's commercial success, even. And it can mix and master a song in hardly any time at all. These are great things. AI can save a significant amount of time.
For sure.
It can also produce its own songs, like the poorly titled track, Daddy's Car. If an AI came up with that title, it should be unplugged.
Daddy's Car.
Yeah, but that's beside the point.
Is it? I think that's entirely the point.
Well, I have to say it a few more times, so I'm just going to grit my teeth.
Okay.
The song Daddy's Car was made by AI at Sony's Computer Science Library in Tokyo, and it was created to sound like a song by the Beatles.
Okay.
And I have to admit, Daddy's Car does sound a little like a Beatles song.
Like Drive My Car.
Yeah, that's
Taking on my daddy's car. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I have to admit, it does sound a little bit like a Beatles song.
It does.
If you turn your head and squint your ears, I can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Squint your ears. Listen closely. Sorry.
Honestly, I think Daddy's Car can go the distance.
Yeah?
Yeah, if we get more songs like that and continuously improve, we might have something really interesting on our hands.
Damn.
Or in our ears. But of course, there's a dark side to AI-generated music that we have to address.
Yeah.
Songs from popular artists are being released, but the problem is popular artists aren't releasing them.
Yes.
For example, the song Heart on My Sleeve by Drake and The Weeknd is not actually by Drake or The Weeknd.
Okay.
AI was able to emulate their voices, which were then added to the original composition.
Damn.
However, neither Drake nor The Weeknd agreed to have their voices used. The potential for copyright infringement is incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
As a musician and as an artist,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that in particular?
It's frustrating, I would say. That's like a whole reason that the actors went on strike recently is because of that, because they don't want their likeness to be used without getting the proper royalties. Like look at Carrie Fisher in the Star Wars after she passed away. Now, I think in that specific case, she did have a clause in her contract if she were to die because she had past alcohol problems. So that was one unique instance. But if she didn't and they just used her, that's pretty fucked up.
Well, they did a good job of cherishing her memory, especially with that scene where she gets blasted out of a spaceship into space.
Yeah.
And then floats back into the spaceship again.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Carrie Fisher, rest in peace.
Rest in pieces.
So AI was able to emulate the voices of Drake and The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Which were then added to an original composition. However, neither Drake nor The Weeknd agreed to have their voices used.
Did they sue?
I think I already said all this stuff.
You did.
There's now a tool that can almost perfectly replicate a person's voice.
Yeah.
So why would we need artists if we can delegate all the components of song making to a machine?
It's true, yeah.
Is a question that some people have on their minds.
It's true, yeah.
Daddy's Car might be impressive, but Daddy's Car represents a significant threat to the music industry. Glad I don't have to say that title anymore. Lawmakers are going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting to manage the future of music, and it's clear we're going to see some colossal changes
for sure.
in the coming years.
For sure. I know David and his friends have talked about this a lot, and like David and I just like debating. Like it's kind of like how we use Midjourney to create new images, but they're pulling like source material from the web from other artists.
Right.
Like, is that okay? Like, for me, I think if it's out there, it's a gray area. Like, if it's out there and you can copy it, like, what's the difference between you copying Leonardo da Vinci and AI copying Leonardo da Vinci? Like, you're a great artist, so like, if you can emulate a style of art, like, why can't a computer do it? You know? But at the same time, if they're not being given proper credit, that's kind of sketchy.
It's a very complicated subject because with a system like Midjourney or systems that do AI art generation, the ability to provide attribution for the artists is, and I haven't done a lot of research, but it seems pretty impossible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, from what I've seen too.
Of course, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. And
yeah,
and if AI is so advanced, it should have the capacity as well to attribute things where they deserve to be attributed.
Exactly. If it's searching and scouring the web for all of these sources, it should be able to know where it's pulling its information from.
Right, and I think there might be a little bit of reluctance because when there is attribution, there's also royalties.
Yeah, for sure. And like I don't know as much about art, so I hate speaking to art because I don't want it to sound like I'm diminishing like an artist's work compared to like voice. But whenever it comes to like your voice, it is like so clearly yours. Like, it's clearly Ariana's voice. It's clearly Drake's voice. It's clearly The Weeknd's voice. That's very, like, intimate and, like, invasive to, like, use that and create. Because, like, who knows what. It's like, I don't want to compare it to, like, deep faking with, like, inappropriate images. But, like, who knows what it could be used for, you know? Yeah. So if you're going to make money off of it, I think you should at least attribute them.
Yeah, it's just we as a society have been given this incredibly powerful tool, and we don't have the manual. I mean, maybe that's not the best example or metaphor, but we're given this incredibly powerful tool, and then we're told now you have to figure out how to control it and what the rules are.
What is that called again? Where technology advances so quickly and that we can't keep up with it, or like it just like infinitely increases. I knew the phrase last time we recorded it, and I forget it again. It's fine. Anyway, technology infinitely speeds up over time, and like we just can't keep up with the laws regulating it and everything that comes with it. Like, should I be able to watch Johnny Cash sing "I'm Just Ken" from the Barbie movie? I did. It was great. I think he might roll over in his grave, but I don't know.
He has come out with some really great covers. Yeah. I've really been into the Patrick Starr covers of like all these different really emotional songs.
Yes.
And wow, it's kind of touching sometimes. Yeah. Like, he has fantastic range.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course. Oh. Oh man. So final thoughts. Every industry has a good side and a bad side. And when you make art into an industry, it complicates things even more. Whether it's a greedy label profiting off the death of an artist, the abuse of artists in a highly competitive genre, or the warping of the very fabric of music itself by AI, there's a lot to contend with.
Yeah.
So I think I'll stick to playing Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And that's enough for me.
Happy for you, Dylan. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful words.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, don't let us know. If you did, let us know. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at my MEC Crisis Pod, and you can email us at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us topic ideas or just say hello. You can do that. You can follow me and Dylan on Instagram if you would like. Dylan, what is your handle?
At Marblefolk.
At Marblefolk.
The stone and the genre.
Yes, and mine is at Madison.epley because I
Makes
am
sense.
not creative. But yeah, thanks guys. Apologies for the long episode. Sorry for the hiatus, but you made it. You made through it. We did it.
You made it.
You made it.
You're here.
I'm so proud of you.
Congratulations. Yeah. Hey, all right. Have a good rest of your day or morning or evening or afternoon.
Whatever you're doing.
Yeah.